Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Grand Cruise Astrology. My name is Clayton Cruz, and today I'm going to talk to you about Mercury going retrograde in sign of Libra, starting second weekend of September, right around September 10th. There's a lot going on in the sky right now. We've got Saturn, Uranus moving back into retrograde within a degree toward the end of the month and into October. And we also have Mars slowing down to go retrograde, and which will begin retrograde motion in October, and so late October. So there's a lot of stuff happening right now, but we're going to talk about Mercury retrograde with this video. We're just going to focus on that piece of it, and then I'll try to make more videos about the other things. So let's talk Mercury retrograde. So, as I've talked about in other videos, Mercury, when it goes retrograde, from Earth perspective, right? Night after night, looking at Mercury in the sky, it looks like it's moving backward in the sky, kind of swirls and loops, and then goes forward again. So that's sort of the Earth. That's sort of what it looks like from our human perspective, from an Earth-centered perspective, right? But in the reality of a heliocentric solar system, Mercury is not moving backward at all. It's just how it appears to us, and so one thing that is astronomically true about Mercury retrograde is that when it does go retrograde, its proximity to the Earth is closer than it normally gets. So I mean, we have retrograde 3 times a year, and those 3 times are when Mercury's orbit is passing closest to the Earth. So we can think of it as an influx of mercurial energy when we have Mercury retrograde. We can point to that as being a big significator as to why, logistically speaking, we have mix-ups and problems with communication, all these mercurial things with electronics and short-term travel, communication, scheduling, just basic itty-bitty, nitty-gritty kind of details can get a little bit scrambled. And you can kind of think of it as, Mercury is in close proximity to the Earth. We're getting more charge from that planet than we normally would, more mercurial energy than we can manage, right? It's a little too much all at once. And it's just a charge, right? And so it can create a little bit of chaos, right? It's a little bit of a trickster energy in that respect, but it keeps us on our toes and reminds us to trust. It reminds us to use other faculties besides the mind and besides the automatic silos of behavior and patterning that we've come to rely on to deal with the world, right? We don't want to get too stuck in those. And Mercury retrograde comes along and frees us from that. It trips us up. So when we can take a step back and get a little more removed from and take it a little less personally, we can be appreciative of it and thankful. But in the moment, it's hard. So we have this Mercury retrograde in Libra, which, in and of itself, Mercury retrograde can cause problems with, again, like I said, communication, day-to-day, scheduling, electronics. It can kind of throw things for a loop. And this one should be no different, but this one being in the sign of Libra, when it begins its retrograde at 8 degrees Libra, is going to be more in the realm of interpersonal communications and finding balance and harmony within those interpersonal communications. With Mercury going retrograde, there is a reevaluation of how to find that balance, how to manage that, what is working and what isn't. We're getting a little more reflective about this. Okay. While Mercury is retrograde in Libra, it's going to be making some interesting aspects. It's going to be trine to Mars in Gemini, and opposite Jupiter in Aries. So first of all, let's start with the trine to Mars in Gemini. So Mercury rules Gemini. Mercury loves Gemini. So a trine from Mars from Gemini. This is nice because Mercury is very comfortable with that Gemini energy. Gemini is all about communication. It's all about duality. It's all about the mind, understanding things from all sides. It's a very fast, almost superficial kind of energy, right? It skims over the top. And with Mars there, it kind of brings a lot of gusto and passion to that Geminian flavor, if you will. With Mars there, we have sort of a drive to, to sample, to test, to try, to really get a little more, to put a little bit more energy and action into this Geminian energy, which is, can be very social. It likes to sample, it likes to try, it likes to experiment, it likes to party, right? And so with Mars there, it's bringing a little bit more of that fire and gusto to that. So there's going to be a lot of loud voices with Mars and Gemini. Mars is going to be in Gemini for the next 5 or 6 months while it goes retrograde. So some loud voices, we can expect that. Now, with Mars being in a trine aspect to Mercury right now, this is a nice aspect for being more oratory and really speaking louder and speaking up and having the confidence and the will to say what you need to say when you need to say it. There's a certain strength here. Now, again, this is just with these planets going direct. Now, given the fact that Mercury is going retrograde here, there's a little bit more caution with this energy right now. Yeah, we may need to say what we need to say. Mars may give us the drive, the will, and the impetus to do that. And if it's needed, then I encourage it. However, just be mindful that it may take some time for things to get straightened out. It may take Mercury going direct later in October and more toward the latter part of October once it gets out of shadow, that we could expect to find resolution with it. So, I think it's a great time to be a little bit more forward. Just don't immediately expect results, because especially once Mercury goes retrograde, it could just be that speaking up is part of the reassessment period and part of the reflection. And it could be an energy of standing your ground and going into your corner to figure out where you go from here when it comes to interpersonal one-to-one communications. Because with Mercury retrograde in Libra, we're talking about reflecting on one-to-one personal interactions and communications with partners of all sorts, but anything that's one-to-one. This is about reassessing and reflecting on how to find harmony in those situations. What is working? What isn't working? And there could be some, there could be a little bit of, we could be very forward right now with what we need to say. Now, it is a trine aspect, so I don't see this being necessarily problematic in and of itself with the aspect from Mars. I think there's a real opportunity to be very clear and concise and to really come to an understanding. However, the fact that Mercury is stationing retrograde, it's going to take a little time to really hash this out, I think. So just don't expect immediate results, even though Mars is going to provide a little bit of that gusto to get it done, right? So this is in relation to one-to-one connections while Mercury is retrograde in Libra. Now, Mercury is also going to be in opposition to Jupiter in Aries. So, Jupiter in Aries is going to be in sextile, nice aspect to Mars, okay? And so, but it's going to be in opposition to Mercury. So, it's kind of this triangle that's forming here. It's kind of forming an angle where we're looking to Mars to be sort of an arbiter, right? Mars and Gemini. We're really being asked right now to look at all sides of the issue. We're really looking to Gemini energy for this first week or so of this retrograde, week or two. We're really looking to Gemini energy to kind of arbitrate things and really see all sides. We're looking for some action that is considerate of more than just one-pointedness, right? But so because with Jupiter, Jupiter being in opposition to Mercury and Libra, just by itself, this can blow situations out of proportion a little bit. This can be a little bit melodramatic. This can be a little bit, because Jupiter in Aries is a very me first energy. Mercury in Libra is about balance, and what about others? What about partnership, and what about cooperation? Jupiter is saying, well, the hell with that. I want to do what I want to do, and so. When you have an opposition, it kind of brings out the extremes a little bit. They're seen in each other's opposite, right? And so, that opposition is there. It's seeking compromise, right? When you have an opposition in the sky, where we're going to be looking for resolution of this opposition is the Geminian energy. Gemini, Mars and Gemini, right? That Mars and Gemini energy. Mars and Gemini says, hey, I have the action, I have the will to be more considerate and see all sides of the situation, and to not be so, to not be so one-pointed and fixed. Gemini is a mutable energy. Gemini is an energy of, whatever the moment calls for, right? That's where Gemini is. Gemini is going to kind of, mutate itself in order to fit what it needs to in the moment, in order to maneuver and to kind of be its changeling self, right? And so Mars is bringing some will to that, right? So it's kind of a time to be very very Mars active about not being so rigid and stuck, right? To be a little bit more superficial, and to be a little bit more considerate, to be a little bit more maybe so, maybe not, right? Mars bringing that sort of drive to kind of act and be more in the moment, okay? Because right now, it's called for, because we don't want to blow things out of proportion. We don't want to get too lost in any extreme. We don't want to be in the other extreme of Libra either, where where you have Mercury there, and Mercury in Libra, it's all about finding balance and fairness and all these things that Libra represents. But that can go to an extreme too. You don't want to be the kid that shows up to class with one stick of gum and out of fairness divides it amongst 30 people, right? That's not really solving problems either, right? That's just adding unnecessary levels of complication, right? Which Mercury and Libra can do in its extreme, right? It can get way too in its head. So we kind of just want to recognize that all these energies are here, and to be considerate, and to let some time pass, and to kind of have fun with it. Mars and Gemini is saying, just loosen up a bit. Have a good time, socialize, party. Don't try to get too deep and stuck in your camp. Whatever that camp is, whatever that opinion is, just kind of flow a little bit more. Be a little bit more mutable right now, because things aren't getting worked out immediately. Some time needs to pass here on the level of one-to-one communication. So it's a great time for reflecting, and to kind of be a little bit more receptive, and have a little bit more fun with your communications, and a little bit less serious, right? So that's where we're starting out with the first 2 weeks of that Mercury retrograde, and then it's going to drop back into Virgo, okay? And so that's right around the 24th. And when it drops back into Virgo, very different energy. It's going to leave the aspect to Mars, the trine aspect to Mars, and the opposition to Jupiter, and it's going to make a trine to Pluto. So this is a whole different ballgame with this energy. But it's one of opportunity. I really like it. But when Mercury drops back into Virgo, we're going to get more practical. We're going to get more focused on the day-to-day. This can be about routines, whether it be domestic routines, work routines, health routines. They're very big on health when it comes to Virgo, and really reassessing. I mean, it could be that, maybe we've had a fun summer, and now it's like, okay, we need to get back to brass tacks and figure out what kind of system we want to put in place going forward, what kind of routine and we want to have going forward that works for us, that really creates a pattern that we can really find ourselves embracing a new level of power, personal power. And I say power and personal power because we have the trine to Pluto from Capricorn. All right, Pluto is a very powerful energy. It has to do with transformation. Being in the sign of Capricorn, it has to do a lot with work and being professional and reputation and integrity and these building the structure of your life and legacy and reputation, all that stuff. So Pluto coming from that angle, a very nice trine angle to Mercury going retrograde, is really helping to put some day-to-day systems in place into the sign of Virgo that are gonna further your health, further your domestic routine, further your attention to detail, further your day-to-day work, right? All of these things are going to be in nice harmony with Pluto. And Pluto is about transformation. It's about really uprooting and throwing out that which doesn't work and only leaving that which is truly empowering for you. It can be caterpillar and a butterfly. Now, a lot of times with Pluto, it can be very gut-wrenching, uprooting. But with this trine aspect, this is more gentle. This is like Pluto tapping you on the shoulder and saying, hey, why don't we try this, without the deep dive into the psyche, right? That can be very grueling and at times traumatic, when you have a hard aspect with Pluto. This is a nice one. So what I'm seeing here is with the end of this retrograde, a real opportunity to set some new foundations. Set new foundations on, not like in a big grand way, but more in a day-to-day, more in a just getting your house in order and getting your routine set so that it serves you, so that you're streamlined, right? And so it looks like there's a lot of flow with this. But it is a retrograde, so there's going to be some reflection. There's going to be some things that may be obvious that aren't working and need to change. But you're going to have a lot of help with these energies, whether it be in the beginning of the retrograde where it's more on a relational front, or when it's getting into the brass tacks of the nitty-gritty of the day-to-day, right? Building systems that work, going forward in these matters. So all in all, it looks like a retrograde of a lot of opportunity. Doesn't mean it's not going to be annoying. It may be. Mercury retrograde has their share of annoyances, but when you recognize what it is, knowledge is power, and it's not so bad. You can laugh about it a little bit, hopefully, right? And you can kind of maneuver through it. Use that Geminian energy in the first couple of weeks of the retrograde to be more clever, to have a little more fun with it, to not take it so seriously, to be a little bit more on the quick-witted, superficial, seeing all sides and being embracing a little bit more of that trickster energy to get you through, right? And to be a little more crafty, right? And then once you get into the latter part of the retrograde and past the 24th of September, then it's more kind of settling into getting your house in order, getting your routines in order, and just embrace this process. This Mercury retrograde, I think, is a very positive one and has a lot of potential with it. And doesn't look on the face of it to be nearly as difficult as many retrogrades are. Now, having said that, there are aspects in the sky that are major and challenging, and I'm looking to do more videos to hit on those things too. But just talking about the Mercury and the things that I covered, keep it light until you get to about September 24th, and then you can dig in on the home front and domestic front a little more and make some changes there to get your routines going. All right, I've talked enough. That's all I got. If you like this video, you can subscribe and leave a comment. Whatever you want to do is nice. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.